to call the March 17th, 2026 West Melbourne City Council meeting to order. If you would all stand with me for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may all be seated. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the City Council. Members of the public are welcome to speak on any topic, whether it is on tonight's agenda or on any issue that is important to you. Each person that wishes to speak should complete a speaker's card, which are located by the glass doors and submitted ahead of time to the city clerk, who sits at the end of the dais. After you have been recognized to speak, please use the microphone at the podium and clearly state your name and address for the record. Please address all of your comments to the City Council rather than to individual members. Direct all questions to the chair. Speakers will be given up to 3 minutes. Thank you. All right, our first item is introduction of new employees. Mark Piccirillo.
That's a nice first one.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor.
Good evening.
Members. It's a privilege for me to introduce to you two newest members of our Public Works team. Tracy Morrison, who's our administrative assistant, and Terrence McMillan is our water distribution crew leader. Both of them come with over 20 years of experience in their in their fields that they were hired for, and they've been a great asset for us also. So we're pretty proud to have them both on board with us. And with that, Tracy.
Sorry. Oh. Seriously, there was a speech. Well, I am Tracy Morrison. My husband used to work here at the City of West Melbourne as well. And so I know that you guys are very much a family-oriented organization, and I really do appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. My name is Terrence McMillan. I'm here by way of Fort Pierce Utilities. As Mark said, 25 years. I'm having a great time. I want to thank Mark and Tim for giving me this opportunity. I vow and promise to do my best and fulfill my duties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to both of you.
Thank you for coming. All right, the next item is the proclamation for the Government Finance Professionals Week. Keith, would you meet me with your crew down there at the podium? All right. Well, this is quite a group we have here. Okay, again, my apologies to the council. Well, I guess I should do it here because I don't hardly have anyone behind me. We have more people in front of me. Maybe I should do it from the side. I don't know. All right, so we'll just do it this way. How's this? Okay. All right. Whereas the Florida Government Finance Officers Association is a professional association founded in 1937 and serves more than 3,300 professionals from state, county, and city governments, schools, districts, colleges and universities, special districts, private firms, and whereas the FGFOA is dedicated to being your professional resource by providing opportunities through education, networking, leadership, and information, and whereas the Government Finance Professionals Week, sponsored by the FGFOA and all of its member governmental organization, is a week-long series of activities aimed at recognizing government finance professionals and the vital services that they provide for our state and our communities. And whereas during this week, government finance professionals throughout the state of Florida will be acknowledged for their hard work, dedication, and leadership. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and City Council of the City of West Melbourne, Brevard County, Florida, hereby proclaim March 16th through March 20th, 2026 as Government Finance Professionals Week, and extend our appreciation to all government finance professionals throughout the state and here in the City of West Melbourne for their hard work, dedication, and leadership. Witness my hand and seal this day, the 17th day of March 2026. You see that? And see that little seal right there? Megan made that. She made that by hand. So this is for you. Thank you. Didn't she do a good job? There you are. All right. All right, it's your show.
My show? All right, so I'll just say a couple words. First of all, thank you, Mayor and members of the council, for recognizing Finance Professionals Week. Since I joined the city a few months ago, I've heard many times about how the city has been recognized for their excellence in financial reporting. That doesn't just happen by chance, and that's a direct result of dedicated people who work hard each and every day. And so these individuals, you know, that's a direct result of everything that they put in each and every day. Their professionalism, attention to detail, and commitment to public service is what drives those results. And I want to thank each and every one of them for the hard work, dedication, and service that you guys give to the city of West Melbourne. Thank you.
All right, we have some questions here. Hold on. Ms. Adams, did you want to say something? Ms. McGuire, did you want to say something?
I did get a question today, seeing what was on the agenda with you getting the award, as to, obviously, please do not go in depth, but but what does that really mean in terms of a city who gets the, you know, exceptional award and, you know, gets awarded for pretty much what we've done in West Melbourne?
So each year we put together the annual comprehensive financial report. And what is judged are the elements that are comprised of that entire report, from, you know, the city's transmission letter to the actual prior year award certificate, to the management and discussion and analysis, to the footnotes, the layout of everything, the statistical tables that are required as part of that. And plus, we get the blessing from our auditors. So all of that is judged as part of that award criteria.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you very, very much. Thank you to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, grab cupcakes, please.
Cupcakes.
What are we going to do with the cupcakes?
Should have put the cupcakes by the door.
Should we, like, take one or you can't leave? Okay, there are no modifications to the agenda. Next is public hearings. I'll give them a moment to clear out. Next is public hearings, and the first item is renaming the West Melbourne Community Park to Sand Hill Crane. This item is sponsored by Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mayor and Deputy Mayor. This evening, we have a public hearing for the renaming of West Melbourne Community Park to Sand Hill Crane Park. As you recall, members on the council here, going back a little bit, a couple years, we updated the naming of city properties and assets ordinance, and in that ordinance, we required a public hearing for any name changes for facilities or land in the beautiful city here, and so we are following that ordinance, as we should. That ordinance does call for a sponsor, and so Councilmember Adams was willing to sponsor that items coming out of some of the workshop discussions. Sand Hill Crane Park was selected and certainly rose to the top, and so now we're taking the formal action. Later on in the agenda, there is another item which is designating the new parkland just south of Sand Hill Crane Park or West Melbourne Community Park, whichever it's called right at this moment in time. And so it's kind of a chicken or the egg item. Public hearings are always first on the agenda, and so this is a public hearing to name both West Melbourne Community Park and the new parkland as Sandhill Crane Park. However, a few agenda items down the list here, we are officially dedicating that as parkland, and so the two kind of dovetail together. Which one should be first or second is really kind of a logistical item that, considering we're doing it on the same night, I don't think really matters. But public hearings are always done first, and so that's why we're taking this action this evening. So again, just to clarify, this would be renaming the West Melbourne Community Park to Sandhill Crane Park, and that would encompass both the existing West Melbourne Community Park and the new parkland adjacent just to the south of the existing community, West Melbourne Community Park. Happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Volz?
Yes, I have a question about the Field of Dreams up front. I know that previously we talked about the sign being in the back, but since that specific corner of the park is the Field of Dreams, is it possible to leave that sign up unmitten?
So another item, we did all of these items this evening together at the same time, is coming up later in the agenda is all the new signage for all the parks. And so I don't know if that would be a better time to entertain that discussion. Just because we have some maps and some diagrams, it might be easier for everybody to visualize it better, but that's a question. That's a fair question.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing. Are there any speaker cards? All right, we will close the public hearing. Ms. Adams?
Thank you, Mayor. I did get a question from a resident who was asking, when they saw the agenda, why are we going from community park to a specific name? So I did explain it to them, but I had let Mr. Rohde know that I thought that might be something beneficial to include in the meeting as well, because we may have other residents wondering the same thing. I know council in our workshop discussion we had talked a lot about the community park and the challenge that it has with its identity within the city, especially because all of the public parks that we have in the city of West Melbourne are all community parks. They're for all of our residents. And so as we talked about that, we also talked about the city logo and our identity as a city. And you will notice there is a Sandhill Crane in that logo. Mr. Bradford's very excited with that. But you know, that was, from my recollection in the workshop, that was how we sort of came about the conversation around giving the name to the community park, as we also discussed making the new land parkland and making that more of a natural and trail system park. So I just wanted to bring that up because it was something that I was asked, so you may also be asked by residents in future conversations. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-06, renaming the community park to Sandhill Crane Park.
Thank you. Ms. McGuire?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to second with comment.
All right, your comment, please.
As somebody who has lived in the West Melbourne area for probably about 9 years at this point, this morning alone, I went to go south on Minton and couldn't because a sandhill blocked, two of them, a lovely, I assume, mating couple, blocked the path to disallow anybody from going south on Minton this morning. And if that was anything but reassuring as to why we are trying to rename this park to the Sandhill Crane Park, that was a sign, in a way, to say that they are everywhere. I can't go anywhere without them blocking my path. I kid you not, I tried to turn into the left lane, and the sandhill turned itself into the left lane. And I sat there and waited, happily. However, it shows how much they are a part of our community as much as any other resident is a part of our community. And I am happy to second the renaming to the Sandhill Crane Park.
Thank you. Mr. Frampus?
probably a good thing. Although it seems like this resolution, it wasn't made by one person, and it was a long discussion. We went through a lot of different things, and as everybody said, it was struggling with the identity of, we're going to have 3 different names for the different parks that are all kind of connected, and it was a group decision. It was, and we're making it official tonight, but we didn't take it lightly, and we talked a lot about it. So I just wanted to say that I know for a long time it's been one thing, but we're trying to bring it all together. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Volz?
I guess I've never seen a sandhill crane over there, I have to say. As many times as I've lived in West Melbourne 24 years, I've never seen a sandhill crane there, anywhere around there. So I don't know whether I'm driving at the wrong times of the day or whatever, but in any case, I've never seen a sandhill crane over there. And so, well, I know that this is probably going to pass, and I will probably vote for it, but I don't like the name change. I'd just rather it all be West Melbourne Community Park. But again, like I said, I will vote for it, but those are just my comments.
All right, we have a motion on the floor from Ms. Adams, a second from Ms. McGuire. All those in favor of renaming the park, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-1 with Ms. Foltz.
No, I voted.
She voted yes.
I'm sorry, I heard the A part, okay. Okay, 7-0. Motion carries 7-0. All right, thank you. All right, public forum. Again, do we have any public forum cards? No, I did not think so. All right, then we will go to the consent agenda. Mr. Frampus.
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Ms. Adams?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Frampus, a second from Ms. Adams. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Action agenda, non-consent, appointment to Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Thank you, Mayor.
Erin, oh, all
Hi.
right, you're going to take this.
I'm gonna
Okay,
take
thank
this
you.
As the council may not be aware, we recently had one of our members resign from the Parks and Recreation Board. She still is a member of Code Enforcement, but for whatever reason, she decided to ask to be replaced on the Parks and Recreation Board. So Linda Pilardi. So we received this application that's in front of you now from a woman by the name of Nicolette Talley. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She is a registered voter and a resident of the city. She has extensive parks experience. If you had an opportunity to review her resume, she worked as a ranger for several national parks, Arizona, Arkansas, DC. She also performed as an analyst for these parks. And excuse me, if you look at some of the duties of the Parks and Recreation Board, that experience could come in very handy when it's a matter of like reviewing policies and things of that nature, because I'm sure she's probably seen many, many, many throughout her career. She's present in the audience this evening. If anyone would like to ask her any questions, there she is waving. So it's up to the council whether or not you wish to appoint her to this board. This is the only application. I'm sure she can come up and introduce herself. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Talley. Yes, please step forward.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Tally. I have worked for 11 years with the National Park Service. I started when I was getting my master's degree in public history at the University of Arkansas, Little Rock. I am born and raised in Winter Park, Florida, Orlando, Florida. And I did go to the University of South Florida. Sorry, go Bulls. But very excited to come and represent West Melbourne if possible in Parks and Rec. I moved to West Melbourne very recently with my husband and our 13-year-old dog. And we've already started being in the area, loving the area very much. Part-time, I work for American Cruise Lines as an onboard historian. So I would love to dedicate some time with you all and stay in the park and rec business as long as I can. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm very glad you came tonight. I read your resume and wanted to meet you, so I'm very glad you came. Mr. Frampus.
I'll make a motion, we accept Ms. Talley to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
Thank you. Ms. McGuire.
Thank you, Mayor. I will second with question.
All right, your question, please.
Actually, it's for the applicant, if you,
Would you please come back?
no, you're good. No.
Back
trust
up
me.
a little bit, I can talk to you about.
It's not that, but you
Okay,
did say historian. So you mentioned that you currently do historian work for a cruise line?
American Cruise Lines.
Okay, thank you. Can you kind of tell me what that means and kind of how that translates into like a city's historian world?
Sure. So it's kind of like a guest speaker role, and as a focus of history from what I have in my past, that's my main focus for it. They build it as a historian on board. So basically you go on board for the cruise. For instance, one of them leaves at the end of the month. It goes from St. Petersburg all the way up to Amelia Island. And so you need to know the Florida history pretty well in order to talk about every port that you're going to stop in. You give presentations at the end of the day, and all of mine are going to be focused on some form of Florida history, whether it be way early in 1513 in Ponce de Leon, or if I'm coming up a little bit earlier with some of the space race and some of the more interesting history that's in this local area.
Perfect, thank you.
Very interesting, thank you. Yes, I don't see any more questions. May I have no more lights on? All right, thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor from Mr. Frampus, a second from Ms. McGuire. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, thank you. Yes, welcome. Next item, designation of newly acquired parcels as parkland. Mr. Rhodey.
Before we go to this next item, just logistically, there is a Park and Rec meeting tomorrow night. I don't know if our new member knows about said Park and Rec meeting tomorrow night. So I don't know, maybe Erin, if you could grab her and maybe speak outside real quick and just let her know about that. Just that popped into my head, so I apologize for that disruption, Mayor. Next up, as mentioned earlier, is the action item to incorporate our new piece of property that the city of West Melbourne purchased of 24.6 acres along Minton, just south of Sand Hill Crane Park, both designated as parkland and also incorporating it as one park so that the city of West Melbourne, Sand Hill Crane Park will be both the old West Melbourne Community Park and this new parkland. So this kind of brings it all together. And I apologize about whether one should have been in front of the other or they should have been right next to each other.
The egg?
This is the chicken, or is this the egg? I don't know.
Just curious.
So I apologize about any confusion that's brought, but our code does say that we do public hearings first, so I had the public hearing first. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, and Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rhodey, in terms of, I know we had talked about most of this agenda all related to parks specifically, and in the workshop, council was behind this location being designated as parkland. But can you share a little bit about why it's specifically important that we make sure before we move forward with actually doing anything with the parcel, that this gets designated as parkland?
Yeah.
We just had a good conversation, and I thought that was worthwhile to share.
A couple of interesting elements. One of the new Live Local provisions is that if any municipality has surplus land, it's eligible for Live Local development. Now, the rules and the format of that haven't really been established yet, but I think typically in the past, whether in Florida or in my past career, once the city has ownership over a piece of property, the council ultimately always controls that piece of property. With the provisions in the Live Local, I don't want any confusion in the development world that this is by any stretch of the imagination surplus property that the city owns. And so I think the action of dedicating it as parkland and then the action earlier of naming it Sandhill Crane Park takes any ambiguity out of that situation, whether this is surplus land or not. And so that's an important element. We probably, all things considered, we probably could have waited 6 months until we had maybe a better site plan for a possible community center and some trails and done that then. But since tonight's theme of the council meeting is all things park, thought it would be a good opportunity.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to make a motion to approve the designation of the 24.6 acres of vacant land included in our packet as public parkland.
All right, thank you. Ms. Volz,
I will second that, but I do have a question, something you
your question,
brought
please.
up. Is it going to be named West Melbourne Sandhill Crane Park or just Sandhill Crane Park?
So very good question that has come up in conversation with other elected officials and staff. All of our parks are just named the park. So Tallwood is Tallwood Park. It's not West Melbourne
Right.
Tallwood Park. And so Sandhill Crane Park is the name, not, West Melbourne Sandhill Crane Park.
But
It's
we're
just
changing
Sandhill Crane
West
Park.
Melbourne Park, Community Park.
We are changing West Melbourne Community Park to Sandhill Crane Park. And so it's just Sandhill Crane Park.
Just Sandhill Crane Park, okay.
All right, thank you. Mr. Frampus?
Question, do we need to also designate this as part of Sandhill Crane Park in the motion?
So in the public hearing ordinance, we incorporated the new parkland.
So in the chicken?
So the chicken has already hatched into the egg, and now we're to the egg.
Okay, so it's already been done. All right.
John, you thought this would go smoother. I'm joking. He did not think this would, he thought this would go like this.
All right, we have a motion on the floor from Ms. Adams, a second from Ms. Volz. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right. 8C, Celebrated Park Entryways. Aaron Murphy.
Let's talk.
Here's where we go.
Yeah, this was very park forward.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. I'm here for you tonight to talk about our proposed locations and associated pricing with the different sizes that we have chosen for each sign for the park entryways. We worked really hard on choosing where we were going to put the signs and what size we were looking at. I also wanted to be a good steward of financial dollars, so I did take that into account every time I tried to place a sign. And so the first one is Westbrook, and that we chose a large sign because it is a larger park. And then it has the 2 wayfinding signs. I know there was a question on what the back of the signs would look like. They were teal for the larger sign, so it'd be the teal color. And then on the wayfinding, it would either be the reverse of what it was showing, or it could just be white, depending on how the sign was placed and how we wanted it. But like for that one, it would just have the opposite directional signs for right here. So it would go the opposite direction for where we had placed it for the wayfinding. Any questions on that?
Yes, I'm sorry, I do have a question if
Yes,
somebody
there's,
else does.
Ms. Volz, is your light still on from your second? Or is this
Yes.
a new, all right, Ms. Volz?
Those signs, and if they're plain in the back, correct?
They could either be plain, the plain white, or it would be the opposite directional signage from where everything was going.
I think it should be the opposite, only because then it doesn't give somebody an opportunity to write something on the back side of a plain sign.
Right.
So those were just my thoughts on that one.
All right. Ms. Adams?
Thank you, Mayor. Echoing what Ms. Volz had said, I know the concern was what goes on the back of them, especially, if the directional signage is going to be on the other side. I think that makes sense. For the larger signs, I believe Mr. Frampus brought up concerns about if there's graffiti or something that goes on that other side. I would still like to hope that's not the case. But is it better that we leave it teal and blank, and if it becomes an issue, add something to the back in your experience? Or is it better to be proactive, add something to the back, and then hope that that discourages people since there's already something on the back of it? I don't have experience with managing graffiti, so I'd love any input you have. And then I have a second question as well.
I did talk to the park staff about how much graffiti they thought would possibly be on the signs, and they didn't say it has been a problem in the past with sign graffiti. I know that this would be a larger blank slate, so I'm not sure what that would bring, but right now we don't have a lot of problems with graffiti on our signs. It's more of a restroom kind of area kind of problem when it does happen, which actually isn't very often. But I did talk to the park staff. One thing that I had spoken to Tom about is possibly putting the logo on the back, and maybe that would take up some of the space. Or I know you had mentioned like thank you for visiting, depending on where the sign was placed. Unfortunately, like some of them, it kind of wouldn't make sense for the thanks for visiting for how they're placed, but we thought maybe the logo or something like that may be a deterrent from if it wouldn't just be a blank slate.
If you think the slate is going to be enough of a deterrent because maybe it's a color, or maybe because of where it's located, where it, if it's seen by the public, maybe that decreases the chance. I just wanted to ask. My second question is in regards to, I'm looking at the Westbrook example, and we have the symbols at the bottom for the amenities of the park, but I did notice some of the other large signs for other parks did not have the amenities symbols. Are they going to be on all of the large signs that look like Westbrook?
So Westbrook and Tallwood were the only two large signs that I had put in there. Clemenswood, I had put a smaller sign. We could do a large sign in Clemenswood. I just thought out of all of them that one was closer to all the amenities that was there, so I didn't know if it needed the larger sign for the placement of it, because all the amenities kind of were right around it. But we could put a large sign at Clemenswood. It would just be $7,000 more.
But there's not room on the size that currently is being proposed there to put those. Then I don't think it's worth a $7,000 extra.
Even for the Sandhill Crane Park.
Well, we're getting there. I'm talking about the examples she brought up. That was going to be my follow-up question, is it's currently not on the design for Sandhill Crane Park, but that's a large park.
That is a large park, but I felt with because we have the large, the screen on that sign, that the three smaller signs were fine, and we were having the wayfinding signs inside the park, that are the two wayfinding signs, excuse me, that I didn't think that it needed the larger signs in the park. I just thought maybe they would be too overpowering in the places that they were being put. But again, I'm open.
Fair, and I'd rather, there's a balance between you want to save the city money, but also knowing that this is our most popular and most visited park. I think there could be value there, but I'm open to hearing the rest of council's opinion. Thank you.
Ms. McGuire?
Thank you, Mayor. Personally, looking at this, I personally would prefer, as it's presented, to go park to park. Looking at what's in front of me in terms of Westbrook, I see that, we have our main sign, we have one of our directional signs, we have two directional signs, sorry, let me backtrack that. And one of the directional signs, it clearly seems like there is a backside to that directional sign. Looking at your third red on, yep, you see it right there, with the sidewalk right behind it. To me, it makes sense for that to have the equal, if it's this way, it's this way, if it's that way, it's that way. Directional signs for the other one where it's just nothing but green and trees, it makes sense for it to just be a blank sign. For your main park, if there's nothing behind it, it makes sense to me for it to just be, a blank welcome to the park sign. So looking at Westbrook particularly as presented, as long as that third one is mirrored on the back side, this makes sense to me.
So double-sided on the corner
where it seems like it would make sense for people to look at it and go, oh yeah, this is this way, that's that way.
But if you're doing a walking trail down that, on that third sign,
Hold on, Ms. Foltz, it's Mr. Gaylord's turn.
sorry,
Mr. Gaylord.
I was just going to echo those comments from Ms. McGuire, but I also say, like, I mean, depending on which direction you're coming from, I guess the reverse signs might be helpful on all of them, depending on where you're coming from, but certainly on the third sign for sure. I would say as well for the other park entrances, I don't know if we were going one at a time, but the as Ms. Adams brought up, the other parks not having the amenity symbols on the signs was an interesting touch that you noted, that it would be an upcharge for us, given that it's a graphic symbol that they put on a sign. I'm surprised they just can't resize that.
Bigger sign.
It's also a larger sign.
Okay. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least, entertain that idea, as Ms. Adams said, for the Sandhill Crane Park. I'd be interested in council's thoughts about the other parks, but I certainly see the value add in entertaining the graphic symbols for the Sandhill Park.
Thank you. Mr. Frampus.
So I kind of feel the same way that most of you feel, that if you're coming from the backside of the directional signs and, you can see the back, as in what we're looking at in Westbrook, it makes a lot of sense to have it on both sides. If we're not worried about graffiti or something, absolutely, I don't think it's needed in the grassy areas for where people are playing. Just, if you're walking on the sidewalk, get directions wherever it makes sense. I have full confidence in you that you can figure out where it makes sense. I'm concerned about the Sandhill Crane Park. I think at the north entrance, I think we need to have the symbols where the two parks come together, to have it on one side of the road and not the other side of the road. I think it's going to take a little more thought, whether you have it at the entrance of the new parkland that we designed over by where the rec center is, and have maybe a smaller sign between the road on, what's that, Flanagan there? Because you're not going to have a sign on both sides of the road. So it's a little, I think it's going to take a little more thought, whether you even need a sign there at all. If you're going to have it at the north end and the south end, and we have the electronic sign in the middle, do we really need a sign at the entrance of both of those over there down in the middle? I think we might want to hold off on making that decision, or at least, I don't know, Mr. Rowe, do you have any thoughts on that? Because to have it in the middle, it's, I don't know, it's just, you either have it on both sides or you don't have it on either side, or you put two smaller signs there.
Right. Part of why we had a very similar debate internally, and just so everybody references, we're looking at the next cut sheet, which is Sandhill Crane Park. We're looking at Sandhill Crane has two cut sheets. The first one is the bigger signs, the second is the directional sign. So we're looking at the first one. There's what we're calling the medium sign.
Correct.
Is located at the entrances at the south side off Fell and at the north side at Fell and at the south side at Flanagan.
Yeah, I'm saying the one on Fell Road, it would be nice to have the little icons on there, the bigger sign, and maybe at the south end of the new parkland, that entrance have the big sign, and maybe.
Yeah, and part of our discussion was, in the future, that spine road will continue. So if you imagine yourself exiting the Sandhill Crane Park, right now you have two options, left or right, on Flanagan. In the future, you'll have an additional spine road or an additional driveway entrance, if you will, to the south part of the park straight across the street. And so The question is, one of our concerns is we definitely want a sign at that corner to separate ourselves from Rhodes Park, because that's a common challenge that we have. People not from the area coming to Rhodes Park, and they get to this intersection and they see a park and they go, well, I must be at the right spot. And so we like a sign there.
Could it be Sandhill Crane Rec Center?
Well, and that's, ultimately, we do envision one sign on each side of the street and partly because of the confusion of Rhodes Park, which was, Sandhill Crane Park often gets referred to as Rhodes Park because it was Rhodes Park. And so kind of over signage, and again, maybe in 25 years, the group of people that are in the new room, because they won't be in this room, will say, why do we have so much signage? Because it'll be a little bit more established there. But I think to us, it was important to have a sign. We debated whether it should be a larger sign or the medium sign. And again, we thought the medium sign complemented the north side. But again, that's why we brought this, we're trying to balance all those things together and come up with a plan. And this is why we wanted to have this discussion, right? If we think the larger signs at the entrance with the amenities adds value, then we are all for that. We certainly thought of that and contemplated that and just landed on the middle side, medium signs for those entrances.
And none of them are lighted, right?
So some will be lighted, yeah.
The uplighting.
On the bigger signs or just on the mediums as well?
We could do it wherever we feel is necessary.
Where do we feel it's necessary? That's the question.
So almost all the medium-sized signs will have the uplighting.
Okay.
And any sign that's lit now, obviously will stay lit.
I kind of like the look of the big sign with the markers on it. I think it defines, especially in the bigger park. I don't know.
Yes.
That's just how I feel. Thank you.
Ms. Foltz?
Yes, can I get back to Westbrook? The big sign there that you have on the left. I'm trying to figure out where that is located.
So, when you're, so right when you turn on there, there is the large Westbrook sign, the community sign, like right there at the corner.
The corner of what?
Of Hollywood and, yeah.
Wingate.
Wingate.
And then when you go when you enter into the park, it's right there on the left-hand side. We have a sign currently right there.
It's right off the road.
Yeah, it's right off the road.
Not quite to the play area. It's before the park.
Many times I've been over there, I've never seen a sign. I don't know why. It must be small. Is it really small or what?
It's not super
Or I just
small.
don't bother looking at it because I'm looking for something else.
It's taller than Diana.
Well, it's probably taller than me too, so
Taller than me. It's taller than, it's a pretty large sign.
I'm gonna have to
In all
drive by.
fairness, it's got a very nice well, it used to until the cold spell, it had a very nice landscaped area around it. That's probably blended in, and it wasn't a very decorative sign to begin with.
They're brown, so they kind of do, they kind of.
So is it
feed
going in the
into it.
same spot?
Yes, it's around that same area.
Okay, so as you pull in the driveway off of Hollywood and Wingate, it's going to be on the left-hand side?
Into the driveway of the park, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So-
And on the, let's see, on the Sandhill Crane, I think we have signs inside the park?
Currently, no.
No, I know we don't, but you're putting signs inside of the park.
The next page would be the.
Yeah, slide 3 or the graphic 3, which is 8C-5. 8C-5, we're adding two
Because these numbers, okay,
Wayfinding.
wayfinders.
fine, this is it.
That would list the amenities on them.
These are inside the park. Well, this looks like it's inside the park too,
Definitely leave room for it.
because, no, this,
Well, that's.
Coming soon.
Pavilion is over here.
you're right. So
Yeah,
that's,
those two little pavilions that are right there.
okay, so it's right on Flanagan.
Right.
Right off
The little
Flanagan.
dog.
Okay,
And then that one's in the corner, and then that one's near the parking lot, and these are inside.
okay, yeah, those need to be inside for sure.
Yeah.
So
So it's right as you
we're
enter the
not
park.
putting the Field of Dreams anywhere.
So the Field of Dreams, so great question. The Field of Dreams sign, there's one sign that's existing, but the one that's along Minton, we are going to relocate at the entrance, what I would call the north entrance of the Field of Dreams area, because it's a very nice sign.
Okay, well, the one is the entrance to the parking lot. It says.
Yep,
Field of
so off that northern, if you're looking at your graphic, there's a northern parking lot along the Field of Dreams.
Okay, I'm looking at Fell Road here.
Yep, so in between the current Field of Dreams and Fell Road, there's a parking lot, our parking lot. In between the soccer and the basketball are two very large pavilions and a very large landscape walkway, brick walkway that's really nice. That is an exit or an entrance, a gated exit entrance that's very nice to what we would consider the north entrance of the Field of Dreams. And that's where we're going to relocate that very nice sign for.
The one that's right practically on Mint.
That's on Minton,
But
correct.
the one that's going into the parking lot, you're going to leave there.
So there's one there now. It's not as nice as the one along Minton.
So you're not going to leave any sign there?
There will be one, yes, there will still be one big Field of Dreams sign at the north entrance of the Field
The
of Dreams
parking lot.
area.
The
Off
parking
the,
lot.
off the parking
Okay.
lot.
Okay, that's what I wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Ms. McGuire?
Can we go back a slide or forward a slide? Honestly, nope, forward. No, okay. So I'm just gonna have to point. So we have the directionals, right there at right below Abe's place. We have it right there at the skate park. As somebody who frequents this park very, very, very often with my son, whether we're parking on the spine or whether we're parking in that extra space up to the north, right there along Fell Road, I frequently hear people who come into the park, whether it's on the spine, right there, right at the overpass right before you get into the park, or whether it's to the north, right there at Fell, when you get into that public parking right before you hit the courts, that go, I don't know where to go.
Another item debated.
Where do I go?
Another item debated was that north entrance that we're talking about, that Councilwoman Volz and I were just discussing, adding another wayfinding sign there. It's one of those, we talked about it, how many wayfindings do you, do you?
I mean,
Are you talking about?
no, so I'm talking the north and the west. So I'm talking right when you enter to, yep, right there where the cursor's
Yep,
pointing currently.
that is definitely another popular entrance.
Yep.
And the question is, how many wayfinding signs are too many wayfinding signs?
The exact same thing, right. No,
So that's what,
I hear you. So people park and then they go, I see the playground. What else is here? So it's more of a I've parked, I see the playground, I understand this is a big parkland, I don't know where to go. Where do I go? And normally I'm like, oh, well, there's a splash pad there, there's a basketball court there, there's putt-putt there, there's this there, there's that there, there's that there. And they're like, oh, thank you, I really appreciate it. I would have never known. And so it's like, how do we balance that north on Fell parking lot versus the spine to the west? Like, how do we balance that?
Yeah, I think, if the council's open to it, we could add another directional sign at what is probably the next most popular entrance for us, which is on the Spine Road in between the soccer fields and the Field of Dreams buildings and the bathrooms is another very popular.
But I'm sorry, I think it would be better on the west side of the parking lot because the cars are always blocked there. Excuse me, on the other side,
Ms.
they're
Foltz?
not blocked there.
Mr. Bentley's next, after Mr. Frampus.
Sorry. Talking out of turn tonight.
Yeah, you're not.
Still your,
Thank you. I know you keep talking about the wayfinding sign. I see a lot of times at the national parks, just like a flat where they have a map of the park, which it tells you where the fountain is. And kind of like after you park, you can look at these flat boards that have the little maps on them.
Have trails
They don't
and-
have to look like this, but I mean, it tells you exactly where things are in the park. It would make a lot of sense to me to be where the main parking areas are, to have a map board that allows you something to think about. Maybe bring it back at a different meeting or something.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be a sign per se.
we're talking about, we're talking about the same thing, but we're talking, I just want to clarify that those are two different types of request. I think the map is a really good idea. I think that's
I think we need less of
needed.
these signage and.
But the wayfinding is meant more for when you're coming into the park, where to go. Where the map, I've already parked, I'm out of the car, and I'm already walking with the kids or what have you. And so,
Two of these is probably good. Driving in, you can see where to park, and then if you get out, you could, I don't know.
I think an additional wayfinding at the pretty popular entrance,
would-
which is that walkway
Off of Spine Road.
between the soccer park and the Field of Dreams building. That's a pretty popular walkway. We'd certainly catch people looking right at that time, deciding where to park, and then looking at where we could do some map locations. I know we do have the big, the digital sign that's hanging at Abe's Place. We could incorporate a map into that, but we could also do some map signs.
Well, that's kind of out of the way too. I mean, that's more of a message board.
Message board, but we could that's a big screen. Tom, how big is that TV that you hung? We collectively?
Yeah, so it'll be at the Field of Dreams on the actual building. So right when you walk in from that north entrance from the Spine Road, we're going to put a TV right as you're coming in.
Oh, nice.
Like a digital message.
Kind of just
Message
like
board.
when you go out into the lobby here
Good, that's
is what we're going to do.
nice.
Oh, nice.
Sorry to interrupt.
I consider once I've signed and paid for something that we have it, so I apologize.
We're doing something similar to that over over near the skate park where the building is. Where the,
Skate park, we get a little more,
I'm just saying a similar,
We know where that thing is.
not at the skate park, but you have that building over there where the.
you're right, we tend to think security and how rugged it needs to be when it's around the skate park.
Okay, thank you.
That's a little more of a challenging, near the building, and the parents with all the kids is much safer. But we would definitely look at that. But I think moving park by park has worked out really well. And so I don't know if there's any more comments on Sandhill Crane Park, or if we want to move to Hammock Lakes.
Are we still looking at adding a wayfinding sign?
after Mr. Bentley.
I think a wayfinding at the north entrance between the soccer field and seemed to be a consensus.
Okay. Mr. Bentley?
Thank you, Mayor. I like Steve's idea of putting that map actually very close to the entrance sidewalk between those two items that you mentioned, the Field of Dreams building and the soccer field. So I would like having that right there, because everybody comes into that gate and kind of stops, and I think that'd be a great place for it. I like the looks of the sign I guess the signs that you have at Sandhill Crane Park, as well as the one at Westbrook. It just seems a little bit odd to me, and I think this was even mentioned maybe, that Westbrook sign's the high-end sign, and our Premier Park is but you have more of them.
Right.
Well, and Sandhill Crane Park still has the biggest monument sign of any park that's in existence, right? It's not, we're upgrading it, but if you look at the graphic on the screen now, the digital sign at Sandhill Crane Park that has the Aves Place and ours, it's getting the upgraded look, but it's also by far the largest monument sign for any of our parks, and that's staying.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Ms. McGuire.
I will also agree that putting something on that, west side, right there along the spine where people kind of enter in that common entrance could be very useful, because that's where most people enter in when they're coming to the park, whether they're looking for where do they go, if they're trying to get to the ballpark, if they're trying to get to the skate park. I've seen it firsthand, bringing my own son. People go, where do I go? And I'm like, well, what are you looking for? Soccer field, t-ball, putt-putt, playground. So a lot of people kind of get to that point and go, where do I go from here? I don't think it needs anything, fancy as to what's currently on the screen, but just the general, like, go here for skate park, go here for this, go here for that, go here for that, blah, blah, blah. Should work fine for that park.
I totally agree. On the west side of that parking lot.
Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. I spent time, as people are talking, listening to the input, but also considering the cost. I think if we're going to add the extra wayfinding, and this is just my opinion, if we add in the money for an extra wayfinding sign, I think we should then keep the original signs that you have in this design, not go for the bigger size with the symbols, because I think that would almost feel unnecessary if we're putting in additional signage. Keeping in mind, yes, it's a large park, but it's not exorbitantly large. And I think after you come the first couple times, people do figure it out, and new people they will see the different wayfinding signage that will already be there. So I can't see the justification for the larger signs, looking at it now, knowing that we're putting money in for extra wayfinding signs. So that's my opinion on that. In regards to, I think it was Mr. Frampus brought up the sign along Flanagan, knowing that the parkland next to it, we haven't designed what that space is exactly going to look like, and waiting on engineering and stuff like that. I'd be curious if it throws a wrench in any planning, if we move forward with the other signage, and what if we pause adding in that one off Flanagan until we have the extra parkland more established, and that way we can actually see it, decide if it's necessary, because what I don't want to do is spend the money and put a sign there, and then we're having the discussion of, well, what do we do right across the street? Well, now we're locked in because we've already just put a sign, how many yards across the way. That's just my opinion. I don't know if it matters with your quote and with the company in terms of signage, but I'd just be curious, would it be worth holding off on that one until we move forward with that one? And then my last question was in regards to accessibility for people that are blind. Do these signage pieces, especially the wayfinding signs, do they have Braille or anything for people who may not be able to visually see the sign but still come to that park, especially considering we have the Field of Dreams within Sandhill Crane Park?
I hadn't asked that, but I can find out.
I just think it's important. Thank you.
No, for sure.
Mr. Gaylord. Oh, you just turned it on. Oh, it's been there. I've been watching. Mr. Frampus, you're up again.
So a lot of the map map boards have Braille on them, so that, if we're going to consider that, I think that's a better spot for them, because you're really not going to go walk alongside the road, especially if you're blind, and try to touch the big signs, I wouldn't think, because you're going to have a monument around them anyhow, right? I mean,
Well, I was considering how many of those physical laid flat maps we're going to have versus a wayfinding sign.
and my other question is, if we like these medium-sized signs, why don't we just use them throughout instead of having the big signs?
Yeah, I think the big signs, especially at
How many we having, like 2 or 3 of those?
so
We have 2 of them.
2 of them, Westbrook and
Tallwood.
Tallwood, have the from the street, the monument sign has
Signs
those.
as well, so I mean, why, I just seems if we're gonna save money and we're worried about all the money we're spending, just use the medium-sized signs and the way signs and be done with it. Last time, Mayor, I promise.
Okay, Ms. Foltz.
Yeah, I'm thinking if somebody is blind, they're coming with somebody else, and somebody else is going to give them directions. So is it really necessary to put anything else on there? I don't know, that just doesn't make any sense to me at all, because you know that they're coming with somebody else who's going to direct them to wherever they are going, unless you have another thought?
Well, my thinking is respectfully, as somebody with a disability, if somebody said, if I'm using my wheelchair coming up to this door and there wasn't a push button or something that I could use to access the building, and the response was, well, you might have somebody with you who's going to open that door,
Well,
I would
think
probably
that's
be.
a little different than being blind.
I'm just giving you my
No,
personal perspective
I
on it.
understand that one. I understand that totally, but somebody
there's a
blind
level-
is not going to be driving there. They're going to be driven there by somebody
I don't
else.
anticipate that.
One person at a time. Ms. Foltz, you have the floor.
Yeah, yeah. And so anyway, I think that was all, but I did agree with other things that you had said about,
Ms. McGuire.
so.
2 questions. Thank you. So 2 questions. One, onto the ADA accessible side of things. Obviously, having something that meets, your standard ADA accessible. Obviously, city, we're very minded to, what's legally required, what kind of makes it more so than legally required. I'm not too worried on that side. I know that we will meet requirements as required, and if not, exceed them. But going back to Sandhill Crane, if you will, please. Looking at what I'm seeing in front, we mentioned that only 2 of our parks have these, the big, beautiful signs that have the cute little, national parks, wayfinder things that say, go here, go here, go here. For it to not happen within Sandhill Crane seems weird, for lack of a better way to put it. If this is our premier park, if this is our best we can do, if this is we expect everything beautiful and everything to be in this park, for us to not have our premier signs be within that park, does seem a little abnormal. Not to say that it doesn't look fine from the pictures that I'm seeing, but thinking about, for example, on Flanagan right there where that sign is pictured to go right before the spine, knowing that, to the left there's going to be a new road that connects to, the community center and more parking and more trails. I agree that I don't want to lock ourselves in to it, but I also don't want to lock ourselves out from it. So I agree with the other 2 in that park, but that one specifically on Flanagan, I would agree that waiting and seeing kind of makes sense, because showing what we truly are going to offer makes the most sense. I don't want to waste money and show like, oh, here's this to the left, here's this to the right, if we don't end up putting something to the left or to the right. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Gaylord?
Just wanted to echo the comments from Councilmember Adams and Deputy Mayor McGuire about holding off on the sign on Flanagan until we better know where, what the park across the street is going to look like. I would also want to say as well that having the disparity between the symbols on Tallwood in Westbrook and not on Sandhill Crane kind of feels a little awkward. So I'm not sure how council wants to solve that, or if the council views it as a problem, but personally I just think aesthetically it's a little awkward to not have those symbols at our premier park, but to have them at other parks.
To that point, we did look at the Sandhill Crane Park sign, I'll call it along Mitten, on the north side of the park. That's along Mitten. It's a medium-sized sign in the presentation. We were trying not to take too much away from the main sign, but we could make that sign along Mitten, we could make that a larger sign with all the logos on it, with all the elements.
That one and the south end, because that whole 24 acres is going to be parkland with trails and everything. Right? So, I mean, you could put it all the way down to where Crystal Lake's road goes in there, and you put it at that corner down there if you really wanted to. It's all part of the park.
You could, but that would add another nice
Aaron,
sign there.
you had said that the cost for the upgrading the medium sign is about $7,000?
Yes.
30?
It's a little less than 7,000.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bentley?
Thank you. I would say to Ms. McGuire, I think that's kind of the same thought that I had on you don't have your premier sign on your premier park, but I thought Mr. Rohde made a good point with the Ave sign, because it does have the brick columns and the brick across the bottom. So you kind of talked me into, okay, I understand his argument there. And I do kind of like the fact that these three signs look the same, the other three signs. So that's how I kind of talked myself out of asking him to put the big sign at this park, because I think premier park, premier sign. But that other's a premier sign. The one with the digital writing, that's probably as premier as you're going to get it. Yeah. So that's where I am. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Adams?
I'll negate his opinion with my own, sorry. I think looking at I know we had talked a couple meetings ago about the value of putting those symbols so that people knew it was at the park. But seeing them in terms of where they would be placed at all the different parks, hearing the discussion of looking at a park of like Tallwood, which is currently, getting community feedback, which is great, but comparing that to something like Sandhill Crane Park, I think if the question becomes, do we then upgrade all of them, at this park because it's the premier park, but also knowing that we are spending the money and investing in a parks master plan to then, elevate all of our parks. My personal opinion is let's keep them all the same. And if the question is it worth paying more for the bigger, flashier sign or what we're seeing currently at Sandhill Crane Park, I actually think I like the simpler, less expensive signs. I think that goes further with city money. Thank you.
Ms. McGuire?
To clarify on the sign that already exists at the Sandhill Crane Park, as what's pictured, the stone looks different. It looks, as Mr. Frampus just said, it kind of looks like an advertisement. Are we planning to change that, to update it to the current park plan, or is it just to keep it as is?
We were going to remove the stone at the bottom to be more consistent with the rest of them.
Just the bottom or the pillar?
Just the bottom right now.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, we'd be adding stone. Yeah, that's,
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Just to clarify,
but we're adding the
like,
stone.
I'm
The
not-
stone
I'm
is
not
not there right now.
understanding.
I'm sorry.
that will make it look very similar to the other new park large signs, because it'll have the stone along the base of it, very much like Westbrook Park, the big sign at Westbrook will have.
Am I looking at something different?
We-
Because this
See,
is like-
We have graphically inserted the stone to, yes, we've graphed.
Like, because it looks like there's stone there. What do you mean?
Our internal arts and crafts project, our amazing team added the stone to make it look,
Thank you.
so everyone have a better visual.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So to clarify, we would just make it look uniform.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, well, that was easy. There's no, the recommendation here is for a motion to approve moving forward with installation. Is that what you're looking for?
We still want to go to the rest of the park?
Yeah.
Rest of the parks?
Okay.
But are we done?
Okay, well then, hold on. I have a question on this one then. All right. For the existing sign that's there that says Abe's Place,
Correct.
and then it's split with West Melbourne, where's the plan to move out the Abe's Place and make that, so now it will say Sand Hill Crane? Will it still say Abe's Place as long as they're still there?
Yes, so the deal when that was put there is they purchased that sign and built that sign and got that space as part of the lease agreement.
Okay, well then, by all means, it should be there. Okay.
So as long as they're there, they'll have that space.
But we do have a plan then to replace that at some point.
If at some point that circumstance changes, we will then change. That's just a faceplate, though. That's a plastic, or not plastic. Yeah, some fancy word for plastic insert.
Okay, Ms. McGuire.
To clarify on that, does that marquee follow to the next tenant, or does that marquee stay with?
It's our marquee,
Okay,
our marquee.
thank you.
Okay, let's move on.
Oh, whoa.
Hammock Lakes, Hammock Lakes.
Hammock Lakes.
I don't have any lights.
My thought process was to add the wayfinding to try to maybe increase foot traffic to know what is actually back there, because it's a beautiful park back there, and it does have a lot of amenities, but I think a lot of people just don't realize what is back there. They maybe know that there is a park there, but they're not sure what amenities are at the park. So the wayfinding, I believe, would help to maybe encourage some of the people to walk back there and see.
Okay. Mr. Gaylord.
Aaron, what was your thought process between this park in Westbrook about putting the medium sign here versus the large sign at Westbrook when you were designing this?
I was looking at the area and the space at Hammock Lakes. It is a smaller little area. Westbrook had a larger thing. It is also a larger park, and it's more spread out. Hammock Lakes is kind of combined in the back, and that was my thought process when I chose the signs.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Frampus.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Hammock Lakes Park is bigger than Westbrook, right?
It's more
It's
all in
bigger-
one area. It is a
still
bigger
bigger
park.
park.
It's more confined, though. Westbrook, I think, is more spread out. It just seems a little bit.
How much do the little signs cost? The way,
I believe they are $7,925.
so if we didn't put that and we put one of the bigger signs there that has the little green emblems on there, it's almost a wash, right?
Instead of doing
The wayfinding
The
sign, the
wayfinding.
smaller sign, because when you drive in, you're going to see the big sign. you know, and if you put the little emblems on the bottom of it, you're going to kind of know what's in the park, and it's just following the walkway around to the park. I think it's, I don't know, just, it's a nicer looking sign. It's going to have the brick on it, and when you drive in the community, you're going to see this nice, beautiful sign, and I'd rather have that there than the medium-sized sign and a Wayfair sign. And I don't know, it just seems like it would, I'd rather have the big sign than two of the smaller signs. I don't know how everybody feels about that, but anyhow.
Ms. Foltz?
Yeah, I was looking at the wayfinding sign, and everything is in one place. I mean, like, everything is off to the left. I don't know whether that's just the way it is, or that's just what the sign is.
It is because the houses are right there, so I couldn't really put it.
No, I'm just talking about the arrows.
Wayfinding?
Yeah, I'm just talking about the arrows.
Yeah, everything is pointing to the back, yes.
Everything is pointing to one side.
Yeah, everything's.
So then, do we really need that?
Well, the indicators would be what is back there. I think Councilmember Frampus brings up a very fair point. I mean, since I'm on the chicken or the egg analogy all night, I think whether it's one sign with the emblems that show what's there or the medium sign with the directional sign, I would say that's just kind of a preference of whatever the council thinks. I think they both accomplish the same thing, but I think one sign we'd certainly prefer one sign, easier to maintain than two. Two you got to weed whip around. Not that we base these decisions on the maintenance aspect, but from a practical standpoint, they both accomplish the same thing. And so maybe on this one, the nicer sign accomplishes that better.
Well, I was looking at, there's four things to do there, okay? I can't read what they are because it's too small. But could you get little icons for each one of those and put it on the bottom of the big sign?
For the larger sign, yes. So if you did the larger.
No, I'm just talking about the one that you've already got there at Hammock Lakes.
No, because the smaller sign, they couldn't accommodate the actual.
You couldn't, it looks like a wide space there below.
So again, these.
No.
This is us doing the graphics to change all the names, but keep in mind there's a standard that we're trying to hit with the bigger signs with the logos so that people can see them while they're driving, while they're in their car. And so to your question, could we squeeze those logos in and make them real small? Well, sure, we could do anything, but then they kind of defeat the purpose because they're too small for people to see them.
Well, they may be too small for somebody to just drive by and say, what the heck was that? Just.
So larger sign?
Ms. Adams?
No, my vote is not for the larger sign because this is Hammock Lakes Park. Again, we have the question of if we're putting premier signs, then it goes to the premier park, and I don't think they fit there, which means I don't necessarily think the larger signs should be at any of our parks. I think this size sign works for the park that we're looking at, and I don't know the resident feedback that you guys hear, but in terms of the Hammock Lakes Park, I've had residents who have reached out to me and said, I go there and I look around and I'm not really sure if there's supposed to be a park there because they don't see anything. Yes, theoretically you can see that there's a sidewalk at the back end of the parking lot, but I think when it comes to, if you're a new resident who just happens to either look on the website and you see that there's a park there, or you live in one of these neighborhoods and you pull in, the question then becomes, where do we go when we park? And yes, you would hope if people see sidewalks, they're going to follow it, but I think that wayfinding sign is especially important at that park because people are looking around and going, where do I go? Should I walk into one of the neighborhoods? Maybe one of their parks is the park that they're talking about. I've heard some very interesting things about this park and this location, but I think the smaller sign works. I think once you start adding in the bigger signs with the higher cost and the the visual symbols, then we have the discussion all over again about Premier Park, Premier signage, and then should be equal across the city. Thank you.
Ms. McGuire.
To add to Mrs. Adams' points, it was, having never actually been to this park before, I spent some time going to each one of the parks and going, having never been here, having not lived in this neighborhood, what would I want or what would I need as a mother of a toddler, of a teenager, of whatever, coming to this park for the first time and going to this one? I can agree that I got there and went, where do I go? Okay, there's a sidewalk. I assume I followed the sidewalk. But is that correct? And I followed the sidewalk, to which it did in fact lead me to the park. However, right, but as somebody who had never been there, somebody who didn't live in the area, somebody who didn't know, I had no idea where I was going when I parked. And the more that we can mitigate that as it being one of our city parks and not just that community's park, that would be preferred. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Mr. Bentley.
Thank you, Mayor. I like your presentation sheet there, and I think that makes the most sense. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Frampus.
I'll go back to my suggestion that we only use the medium-sized signs and not use the other sign then. I mean, I just don't understand why, if we're gonna, I mean, that was my original suggestion, and I just think that I'm okay with the wayfinding signs. I am. Just go with the medium signs and be done with the big signs.
All right, you have enough information on that one, Aaron? And ready for the next Tallwood Park? No, Jan Leeson?
Jan Leeson.
Jan Leeson Park, okay. I don't have that one, okay. Oh, yes, I do.
That's wonderful. Next park? Next park.
We did Clements Woods, okay.
Yeah. Looks great.
Tallwood Park.
I'll tell what I did put a larger sign because we are doing the master plan of it right now, and it is a larger, like, spread out park. That's kind of, in my mind, that's where the larger signs win, but I could agree that a smaller sign would also work, if that's what you prefer.
Ms. McGuire.
Can we go back about 2 parks?
Oh.
Jan
Leeson.
To everybody's favorite park that nobody knows what we're doing. Do we know what we're doing with this park yet?
Which one?
Jan Leeson.
Jan Leeson. Yeah, ultimately, I think from the master plan, incorporating Jan Leeson into this site when we make the determination of what this site ends up ultimately looking like, seems very logical that it would just be one park. But knowing that it's at least a year away before we start talking about the future of this park and implementation, Jan Leeson is a park, and so consistency with the signs led us to putting this medium sign there.
And how much are the medium signs?
$8,079.
And if it were to be, let's say this whole site got renamed Aaron Murphy Park, which it couldn't because you haven't passed away yet, but I had to find a name, and
I know.
I
Still alive.
I had to pick a name, and you were the easiest target right now. Ultimately, we could change the faceplate for the sign if it ended up being, Murphy Park. Yeah. But did we debate whether we should do anything at all or put this sign here? Yes, we debated very heavily, but knowing that it's probably 18 months to 2 years till we have a plan and implement that plan for this whole site. defaulted with let's be consistent and identify the parks. Is Jan Leeson a highly used park? No, it is not.
Not now.
See, my hard part is what I just heard is we're probably going to end up combining the two areas together. But in the meantime, for 2 years, we're willing to waste $8,000.
Well, I don't think, yeah, that's an interesting perspective that I wouldn't agree with. I don't think it's a waste of $8,000 to identify a city park. It is a city park. The desire was to make uniform signs for all of our city parks so that everybody knows where the parks are. We aren't going to do Bryan Adams because Bryan Adams really isn't known as Bryan Adams, and the sign, we know something different is going to happen. And so I'm contradicting my own logic that says we didn't do it for Bryan Adams because we know something's happening there. What we don't know is what Jan Leeson ultimately turns into, whether it's standalone or part of this whole site that would make sense. And so that's a...
And we also have the large sign out there with the scrolling sign that is already there for the Veterans Memorial Complex.
And on that, to clarify, you said it's, in a sense, it's simple to kind of change out the faceplate. Like if we change the name,
We can change the names.
Okay.
The names can change. It would obviously be cost to relocate the sign.
Okay.
But that is off the curb. It does have a curb cut access, and that is off the curb cut access. So it's essentially the entrance of whatever that might be, or it might end up just being landscaping and trees and.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rohde, is it possible that we can, if we decide to do something different with these two parks, and we invest in this sign, because I do understand your logic of if we do something, it wouldn't be for a little while yet. Are the park signs something that we as city staff have the ability to move and relocate? Is that something we then have to hire someone? What does that look like?
We have relocated signs in the past. It's not easy, and there is some cost associated with it, but we have been able to relocate them. Changing the name is not something we would just call the sign company and get a price to change out the name. That's something a little beyond our scope, but we have relocated signs before.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Volz.
I'm wondering, do we have the money to do all this?
It is budgeted for, we set aside money to implement the master plan.
Okay.
So this was part of that.
So all of the signs that you have in here, we have money to do them?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Then let's just do them.
Mr. Francis.
So currently, Jan Leeson Park and Bryan Adams Park has a sign on it, right?
Correct. Bryan Adams is right outside.
Right.
in
They
front of-
both have signs on them right now.
Yes.
So the only thing that is going to happen is they're not going to match for 18 months, right? So why not just leave what's there, and it won't match for 18 months, but we still named our parks. The park has a name, and then when we figure it out, change them. I mean, how long did we hold off this sign in front of City Hall that we approved 2 years ago? I mean, we waited. What is the problem with waiting? I mean, it doesn't have to match right away. Just hold off a minute. We're going to hold off. It sounds like we're going to hold off on the Sandhill Crane Park on the Flanagan Road. Why not just hold off and wait? Why do we have to make all the decisions tonight is my question. I just think we need to wait. We're going to change this for sure. This building's going to get terrible.
Agree with that.
We probably are going to combine the two. Just wait. Why do we got to spend the money? Hold off, save the money, change it when we know what's going on. It just makes sense to me, and I still think it's going to be my vote to leave them all at the medium signs and do away with the big signs. So there you go.
Ms. Foltz.
Well, I don't think we're going to go out and put all these signs up tomorrow. It's going to be over a period of a year, maybe longer, to do all these signs?
No, it should be about a 30 to 60-day install for the signs.
30 to 60 days? Can we just make it 60 days to 6 months? I mean, however long it takes.
It's a very fair question. These are, almost all the items discussed tonight were part of the discussion that we had leading into this process, right? As you will recall, the council's desire was to have the logos on the signs. And so that was a new element that we had added for the signage. Whether we do Jan Leeson and Brian Adams now or not is another item we debated, because again, we know something's going to happen, and it's kind of the damned if you do, damned if you don't a little bit. Sorry for using that word in a public meeting. But, ultimately, if we were to come and say we're not doing anything here because we don't know the future, then we're not following the recommendation of the master plan, which was to uniform your parks with all the same signs to help with the marketing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But we have no.
Do what we need to do,
Yeah,
except for those few that, you had just mentioned, the Jan Leeson and Brian Adams. We don't have to wait a year to get all this stuff done. We've been working on this for how long? 2 years or more, maybe.
But know that we had to set a plan. We had to come to this meeting with a plan.
Yes.
And we knew that this would be discussed like this, and that's important. That's important that we have this discussion, but we had to create a plan. And so could the plan have not had a sign here, and someone would have said, well, why don't we have a sign here? It's going to be a while before we do something. So I think don't misunderstand our plan we think that's the only plan and the best plan. This is just the plan that we came forward, and a lot of these items were discussed internally. And ultimately, we went with a Jan Leeson sign because, one, we can change the name if and when the name does change, or the park theme changes, if you will, was kind of the thought that ruled today.
That's simple. I don't think that we need to wait forever to get these things done. 30 to 60 days is probably just fine to get. Are they going to be able to do them all in 60 days? I mean, yeah? You already have that.
I mean,
We've been working with this vendor for
long time, I'm sure.
9 months now. I assure you they're waiting for our order.
Okay. Well, the motion that we need is to just, okay, I'm done.
Okay, all my lights are off. So I have the newly acquired park out on Rhodes, John Rhodes, by the new, no, John Rhodes, the proposed.
Yep. So next workshop,
Right.
we'll be discussing naming of more facilities and parks.
Okay, but signage.
They will incorporate this sign into that development.
Okay.
What it will be called will be up to the city council.
Okay, and so we don't have to put any kind of a sign there. We're not going to worry that it matches what we.
Yep, we will give them our design. There's only a handful of sign contractors in Brevard County that put in signs, so we'll give them the design and they'll implement this sign.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, what are you looking for next, Miss Aaron?
are we good with Clemens?
Miss Murphy, I'm sorry. Clemens Woods, okay. We certainly have a lot of parks, don't we?
And then the last one is Tallwood. Oh.
Oh, your mouse is jumping, Aaron.
Oh, I was in Tallwood. Oh.
Yep, it's moving quick.
So Tallwood was the one that I had chosen for the large sign, which of course we can go to the medium sign. And then the wayfinding in the back, because it kind of has two entrances to Tallwood. And we are currently doing a master plan of Tallwood right now.
Ms. McGuire?
I guess from the council perspective, I'm just confused as to, do we prefer the large or do we prefer the medium signs? Because in our workshop, I remember it being, the more we can have the park's little square showing where to go, the better. And now it seems as though we've changed that. So I guess I'm just kind of hoping for perspective for her, in a sense, as to what are we wanting, more of the larges or more of the mediums? And that's open for anyone to answer.
Mr. Gaylord?
Well, to your question, Deputy Mayor, I think, other members of the council can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that council's opinion is shifted a little bit into preferring the medium signs, given that the wayfinding signs may be appearing a little bit redundant with the symbols on the large signs. In stating that, however, I would be interested to know what council's opinion is, since we have come to agreement about holding off on the signage on Flanagan for Sand Hill Crane Park. And Aaron, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't memorized all the slides. I believe Tallwood and Westbrook were the two non-Sand Hill Crane Parks that had featured large signage.
Correct.
Given that being the case, and that there are concerns on the council over the cost of upgrading large signs to medium signs, I'd like to bring it forward to the council for consideration that we change Tallwood and Westbrook to medium signs, and then the two Sand Hill Crane signs that we have currently that we have agreed we wanted installed, have those be the more premier signs. That would solve some of the disparity concerns about us not having the premier signs at our premier parks, while also solving the concerns about overall cost, because it would keep the cost for the sign project the same.
Thank you. I'm sorry? No? All right. Ms. Bolts?
Yes, I think since it's already budgeted, I think we ought to leave it alone. If we were really, really, really short on money, we should be concerned about it. We need to make our parks look like they're our parks. This Tallwood Park, it's like it's never really been a park. You never even knew that it was a park, except for some little tiny sign that was there, but never knew what was there. I just think that we just ought to leave it alone, but I think the Sand Hill Crane, we need to hold off on those because we don't even know what's going to be there, at least on the new side of it. Those are just my thoughts on that.
Mr. Frampus?
Aaron, I kind of think we lost perspective on the size of the signs. Can you again, big sign versus medium sign, the different sizes? Do you have that handy? Because it's in the pictures, they all look the same.
I have, if Megan,
Because they're significantly bigger, right? The big sign as
Yes.
opposed to the medium sign?
correct. I think there was a presentation that I did in February. Right there, celebrated entries. And then,
Because wasn't,
Yeah.
the medium sign was about the size of a person, right? And the larger signs were bigger. I guess it all depends on the size of the person, but yeah. I don't know.
so there's the larger sign.
So, man, I'll tell you, I really like those big signs. I think the bigger ones, I really think And I agree that having 10 of them on Sand Hill Crane Park would be ridiculous. But, and honestly, I think the big sign even looks better than the digital sign that we have out front of it just looks more like a park sign and less like an advertisement for things going on. I'd like to get something about in the middle of those two and put them everywhere. And I think to move those signs, that would be kind of defeat the purpose, right? You're going to probably
The big ones would be hard.
well, even the little ones, you
middle
probably
one-
pay almost as much as it would cost to put in a new sign anyhow, to move them.
Are you finished, Mr. Frampus?
I'm just struggling with, I just think that if we're only gonna put, I agree with Ms. Volz that, I've been to Tallwood Park and it's kind of not much there. It's the basketball court's used a lot, and that's in a weird spot. To have a premier sign there just seems silly to me.
Set off Hollywood.
Westbrook's not bad. It's a big park. It's a nice park. It's out in the open. It's wide open. Tallwood's not. I don't know. I still going back to the thought of having the medium-sized sign everywhere, but looking at it here, it doesn't look big enough to have everywhere.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know what everybody else's thoughts was. I'm just struggling with this whole, I don't even know where we're at on most of it, so.
Well, let's get you some help here. Ms. McGuire, what would you like to say?
I don't know about that, but my perspective was that the large signs were supposed to be from the roadside. It was supposed to show you this park has picnicking, this park has dog access, this park has basketball courts, this park has blah, blah, blah. Whatever amenity it is that park had, that's what I interpreted that those large signs were supposed to show. And I think that can be useful for those, especially for the smaller parks that we have where none of the residents really know what's there. Because before you even get to park and you walk inside and you go, okay, where do I go? Let me look for these wayfinders. How do you know that you even want to park there and go there? To me, that's what these large signs are for, is to say, okay, there's picnicking there, there's basketball there, there's pickleball there, and I want to go there because of X, Y, and Z. So if I don't know that it's offered at that park, how do I know I want to go to that park? So that's kind of where I'm hung up between the large and the medium signs as to, I don't know, I know I live in this neighborhood, but what does that park offer? Or I'm driving by and, oh, that looks like a really cool park, but what's there? To where I think the large park signs could benefit those parks, but that's, I don't know, that's kind of where I'm stuck, as to like, okay, well, we have those symbols, so are we gonna use the symbols, or are we just gonna completely kill this large sign and all of these pretty symbols that show us what's there and just go for this medium park sign?
Mr. Rhodey?
So I think we confuse this process by trying to interject the medium and the large in an inconsistent way that didn't come across quite as we initially intended. So I would very kindly ask to table this item to the next meeting and allow us to put more consideration into the consistency that we're lacking. We view parks, it was good to get this perspective. We viewed some of the parks that are challenging with what's there, with the bigger signs, based on our perspective, but I think we'd like to take another shot at this and be able to show a little bit more consistency and a little bit more accurate depiction of these signs. And then I think this has all been really good feedback. We can take all this feedback and come back with a better plan and let the council take a look at that.
All right, we hear anything on that? Oh, and just so I can muddy the water further, I like the large signs with the symbols on the bottom, where appropriate, not exclusively large signs, that would be too much, but where appropriate other than the medium. So there we go, I just helped confuse everything. All right, so I still have lights lit up, and we have the suggestion from Mr. Rhodey to table this. Ms. Adams, your light is next.
I was going to provide further feedback, but I can do that with Mr. Rhodey at a future meeting and save everybody some time. I will, do we need a motion to table? We'll make a motion to table that until the,
Can I ask, just mention something about
we're
Tallwood
still making a
Park?
motion.
Okay. I would like to just talk about,
There is, and I need a second before we.
I will second the motion, but I just have a question about Tallwood Park, and it is, I've lived in West Melbourne for 24 years, and I have never known that to be a park. I thought it was just nothing. It was just a big vacant piece of property back there. So
it's
we
definitely-
need a big sign to tell people, we really have a nice park back here, you know? So those are just my comments on Tallwood Park.
All right, we have a.
The mayor, the reason I asked for the tabling, and I know you're about to call a vote, there's just a lot of, part of our challenge as staff as we go back and we replay this, and it's going to be really hard to try to put all these different thoughts into a concept that. Sounds like a workshop. Yeah, and so we'd like to, it's good to have a plan and get this feedback, but let us take this feedback and then come back with another plan. And I think that plan will be a lot closer to what everybody's kind of talking about.
I have one more light on before we call for the vote. Mr. Frampus? No? Okay, all right.
Well, once the motion to table is brought up, all conversation's supposed to stop, I believe, right, Mr. Attorney?
Oh, well, I'm sorry, we should have stopped this a long time ago. Sorry, started going down that rail. You could have just chimed in and just.
No, but
Yes, we.
If somebody makes a point of order, I'll chime in. Otherwise, it's your meeting to control.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Ms. Adams. We have a second from Ms. Volz for the motion to table this until our next meeting. All those in favor, please say yay. Amen. Those against say nay. All right, motion carries 7-0. Amen.
Thank you, Aaron, you did a great job.
Okay.
I like your plans.
Yes, have a cupcake, please.
Mr. Piccarello, you can retire now. We've been up here long enough. This is why the chief is leaving,
Good evening again.
approved? No.
This is dealing with Clementswood Park off the Parks Master Plan, and to put a little parking lot into where the playscape is. So we went out and got 3 bids. The lowest bid is $31,440 to install 5 parking spots with 2 handicap spots.
So it's twice as big as Hammock Lakes.
Ms. Volz?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Frampus?
Second.
All right, motion on the floor from Ms. Volz, second from Mr. Frampus. All those in favor of opposing, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those in favor say nay. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Mark, I would suggest lobbying to go first next time with Mr. Rhodey.
Public Works doesn't bring enough treats by City Hall.
Okay, all right. City Council reports. Mr. Gaylord.
Yeah, just a brief council report. Attended the Space Coast League of Cities Board of Directors meeting and subsequent dinner. Very good meeting, very productive. Wanted to say as well that the acoustics in the Malabar Meeting Hall were very good. And Diana was having a wonderful time telling all the Board of Directors everything that they needed to know. So it's a very good meeting.
Okay, Ms. McGuire.
Thank you, Mayor. No report tonight.
Mr. Frampus?
I do have one thing. I discussed this with Mr. Rhodey multiple years ago prior to Mr. Rhodey coming here. It came up about advertising on the fences with banners at the schools, and council had determined that it was a code violation and it was dealt with. I don't know, Mr. Rhodey, maybe you want to expound on that. I did bring it up to him, and I would like us to address that.
Yeah, just going back, there was an issue with private school, church school at the time, and we don't allow, the city of West Melbourne doesn't allow what is called off-site advertising, which is a signage for a business that isn't located there, which is a very common practice in almost every local government that I'm aware of. And so the trend of fundraising at schools and preschools and private schools of hanging banners of businesses on the signs became popular years ago, and a lot of communities had to deal with that issue. And so it has reared its head again. Outside of the School of Science here, they've got some signs up for some local businesses, probably as a fundraiser, but we certainly will take, a very tactful route of requesting that they remove it, but then ultimately, if we have to take action with Code Board, we'll follow the city's code.
Thank you. Ms. Foltz?
Okay, I also attended the Palm Bay Chamber Luncheon, and that was Diana's first meeting as president there. So I think you missed the first meeting in League of Cities. Oh, that's right, League of Cities. Anyway, I was at the Palm Bay Chamber. That was next on my agenda. League of Cities, I attended that, and you did a very, very good meeting there. And I was at the Cops on a Coop, and we raised a bunch of money. Yeah, all righty, well, that's very good. And I'm on the Board of Commission on Aging for the League of Cities, and they have nominated me to receive a resolution for active senior, and I will be receiving that resolution on May 4th or 5th, whatever the date is, for from the County Commission. So,
Congratulations. That's nice.
thank you.
All right. Is that it?
Yep.
Ms. Adams?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things to highlight. The Palm Bay Chamber focused their latest meeting on transportation and infrastructure. So Ellis Road was a common discussion item that was brought up, but they also had quite a bit of input from the airport. They've talked about potentially exploring other modes of transportation in Brevard County, which also tied into the new transportation center that's going in, further north of us. But just letting everybody know, they are continuing to explore some changes to what transportation looks like in Brevard. I don't know how realistic it may be, because all of their panelists said the biggest challenge we have when it comes to transportation and infrastructure is funding. And so we all know that state and federal funding continues to decrease for projects, and it takes us longer to get the funding. Therefore, they've talked about most of their projects have doubled, if not tripled and more, by the time the projects are actually moving forward. So I thought that was particularly interesting with that meeting. Cops on the Coop, Chief, you guys in the police department did a great job.
Yes.
I think, as we continue to have this event and raise money for the Special Olympics, anything that council can do to help our community know that it's happening would help, I think, with our, our police department outreach, because they do a great job. Speaking of outreach, Nana's House and One More Child held a community outreach event. If you haven't been to that location, it's just south of here, off of their road is called God's Way. And One More Child is another foster licensing agency in not only Brevard, but they license across Florida. But they were partnering with Nana's House specifically to try to advocate and reach families to kind of let them know what they offer. And since it's in West Melbourne, I just thought I would bring it to your attention. Their model is a little bit different than general foster care with other agencies in Brevard because they actually have housing units. If you go there, you'll see them. They currently have 2 that you can walk through. And those are set up so that families who want to foster, let's say you want more space to be able to take more children in because sometimes hard children to place can be in sibling sets of 3, 4, 5 children, and they try to keep them together. And so if people have a desire to take in multiple foster children, they want to make sure that they have the space. And so they provide housing for those families free of charge. But they work with them to make sure that they have everything else that they're required to have, per the state. But it's a very interesting model that I don't see currently elsewhere in Brevard County, so I wanted to share that with you. The League of Cities meeting that was mentioned was our scholarship presentations. So we had quite a few students from across Brevard get scholarships focused on getting degrees or certifications related to public service. So that was exciting. The Spring Fest was held this past weekend at the West Melbourne Library. It was a well-attended event. They had it in the morning. My son had a great time running around trying to just touch and eat everything. But I do want to bring that one up because I heard from the librarians I was speaking with that they are revitalizing and they've gotten interest in their Friends in the Library program that I brought up a couple months ago. That we're currently not taking donations because that program had lost the people interested in volunteering. So that is going to be starting back up, which means adult programming will also be increasing at the West Melbourne Library. And then the final note I had was April 11th is going to be Trash Bash for the city. If you have not participated before, we get to go to certain areas. Don't worry. I thought it would be great if we did like along John Roads where there's quite a bit of trash up against the fences. Apparently that makes Mr. Rohde very nervous due to traffic concerns. I may have made him nervous walking closer to Hollywood a couple of years ago, but I can tell you I picked up more trash along that road than I did in our city parks. But usually we bring residents who want to volunteer to Trash Bash. We'll go to one of the community parks and we'll pick up trash. 2 years ago, we actually found a complete toilet in the woods of right behind the community park, and that was quite an adventure getting that out. But that was, oh, sorry. But that was, I made my notes before we did the name change. But the reason that it had come to mind was because Ms. Volz had asked about the signage that was at Westbrook. And Westbrook, I think the first or second time we did Trash Bash was one of the parks that we went to. And we found the sign and we got trash cleared off of it. And I think all the volunteers were kind of excited that, look, there's the sign and this is what it looks like. And so it came to mind when you were speaking earlier.
Well, I am going to go past there tonight on my way home.
You're going to see it.
I just got it. And what time is that?
Trash Bash?
Yes. Do you know?
It's usually first thing in the morning. I didn't write it down on my notes, but I can get that to you.
Okay, yeah, if you could do that.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bentley.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you to Mayor Young. She led the TPO and still on it for many, many years. And I had the bad fortune of driving on Ellis Road today. That road is beyond a nightmare. At lunchtime and in the evenings and in the morning.
Is that the part you're thanking me for?
No, I'm thanking you for going off and leading that effort to get the money and to put that as a priority and to keep that as a priority, because that's got to be the worst street to drive in Brevard County and maybe even beyond. And I think getting that 4-lane is going to be good for all the businesses along there, good for the airport. And I don't know, I think you were a big reason that came about in your constant support and leading of that TPO. So
wow, thank you. Thank you very much. I will take that. Thank you. Okay, it's my turn next. So so Thursday is the TPO. Speaking of that, is Break for Break, Break for a Break. So it's going to be Thursday morning out here on 192, or I guess was you'll see us. We'll all be standing out there by the beacons so we can talk to people about what the flashing lights mean. So if you would like to be there, it's at 8:30 in the morning. My event, as I went to the Panda Express, it's opened up there on 192. It was a great event, a lot of people there. The food is wonderful, and so I'm looking forward to that and a whole lot more things opening up there soon. Edgar was there from the Space Coast development people, and he did mention some of the other things that have been talking about coming in there. So it's going to be a really good place out there, so I'm looking forward to all of that. We're going to move to management reports unless anyone else has a comment they want to add. Management reports, Mr. Rohde.
Just a couple comments real quick. I did send out the email. I was notified by Keith Gee that the WMBA has kind of gone into a hiatus again. They really hit the stride, I thought, about a year ago, 6 months ago. They had really good attendance. I know a lot of the council members attended, as well as the mayor, attended some of their meetings and thought they were really starting to grow. And then a couple of people had some conflicts and stood down from the board, and they just, the last two meetings couldn't really get good attendance. And so I really appreciate the work that Keith Gee put into that. He really kind of picked it up and carried it forward and gave it a great effort. I don't think it's a reflection of him at all, but we'll stay tuned to see what happens to the WMBA as they pivot, as they have in the past. Hopefully they'll come out stronger. I'm requesting that the police chief come up and give a brief briefing on the excitement that we had today at America's Best Value Inn.
Thanks, Mr. Manager. Yeah, so this morning about 9:30, we were called to America's Best Value Inn. A report came in of a possible shots fired and possible glass breaking, third-party report. Got there, we located the room and quickly learned that we believe a shot had been fired. The window was broken out. Didn't really know who was in there at that time, but through the broken window, we were able to tell that there had been some barricading going on, and they were in there. So patrol had established close contact with someone inside of there, so we obviously don't give up that contact once we're able to establish that. They had a shield out there, and the people were uncooperative. We weren't exactly sure what we had. We didn't have any visible signs that someone had been struck, but certainly uncooperative people inside not willing to come out and talk to us. So we quickly realized this was going to turn into a much longer term, probably, situation. We established a command post nearby and activated our SWAT team. So patrol, they had established the inner perimeter and were attempting contact to talk the people out. SWAT eventually took over the inner perimeter. We continued to try to have a dialogue with the people inside. Only one person was really communicating with us. Brevard Sheriff's Office assisted us also with some crisis negotiation team. So I think about 3 hours into it, we had a good rapport. We thought that one person was coming out, and then the situation kind of escalated quickly and led SWAT to take immediate action with less lethal force. The mother was escalating against the daughter, and using that less lethal force against the mother to prevent the crime she was doing at that time allowed SWAT to make a safe entry, take her into custody, and get everyone out of there. So you'll see in the press release she was charged with a number of felonies and is up at Brevard County Jail. And then, of course, we're the juvenile daughter, making sure that she's getting appropriate care, too. So very successful outcome, a little bit dicey at times. The team did a great job. SWAT did what they're trained to do also, and just all the divisions between SWAT, the crisis negotiations, and the investigations division working together for successful resolution. And we did get the gun out of the room that had been fired. So everyone's safe, and glad it was a good resolution.
Wow. Mr. Frampus, did you have a comment?
I did, not on this.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else have a comment for Mr. Vesta while he's here?
Go ahead.
You have the floor.
I just wanted to say, Chief, I think this is your last meeting you're going to be with us. Am I stealing your thunder?
You're stealing my lines.
Okay,
I only have 3 of them.
sorry. Too bad. I really think you turn things around. We have the best police force here in West Melbourne, and I'm really sorry that you're leaving and you're getting out of here before me. And I think you did a great job, and thanks so much for being here and the effort you put in for everything. So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It has been an absolute honor to serve here for the last 3.5 years. Mr. Rohde, for having the confidence in me and council affirming that decision. We really do have a great team, and it's not just the PD, it's all of us working together with you and the community. I'm very blessed for what, that I was able to serve. I'm going to miss the PD, of course, miss the community, city council. You know, one of the reasons I came here is because council supports the police department. And we have to earn that support too. And I don't just come up here and it's not carte blanche, you know, because people, I know we take a big portion of the city's budget, but there's a lot of, to run an operation 24/7.
that's going to change now that you're leaving.
Yeah, but you also ask the tough questions, and we're happy to answer for those. And like I said, I'm proud of our service here. I really do love West Melbourne, and you know, the toughest time to leave is when things are going really well. But maybe it's better to go when things are really well than when it's not easy to leave. Maybe you stayed too long, you know. So, but no, as mentioned by, as I shared with the PD, and I think with some of you too, family truly is the reason for my change. 30 years of sworn service is a long time. Wore this uniform, I figured about 8,000 days, and I can tell you, all those days, I can't remember a day that I didn't love coming to work. So that's going to be the toughest adjustment. But glad I did it. Proud to serve with all of you. Great community. On to the next chapter. But it truly is for family, and that's the reason we've made that decision. So thank you for all your support. I'm going to miss all of you, and this truly is a special place. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief.
And we can say goodbye to Chief Wednesday, March 25th from 3:30 to 5 o'clock over at the PD. We'll have some cake and coffee, say our goodbyes. We have a couple of words. We'll try to find some nice words to say for Chief Vesta. Of course, I say that jokingly. He has met and exceeded all expectations. He has made the city a better place by making the police department stronger. That makes our community stronger. I like to make the joke. I take a team approach on a lot of things, and there were probably some afternoons that Chief was in the room and we were talking about some situations at the city, and he probably was thinking, I don't know why I'm sitting in this room, but you know that you were sitting in that room because your opinion mattered. Your input was always spot on. And very appreciative for some of the tough decisions and some of the tough situations the city had to get through. So we appreciate that, and I invite everyone to join us over at the PD on the 25th from 3:30 to 5 to say our goodbyes to Chief Vesta.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'll be there. Thank you. Mr. Carey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick update on this legislative session. It is over. However, they did not pass a budget, so there will be another session. The session didn't include the property tax constitutional amendment. I don't know yet if the special session will address that, because it'll depend on how the call to session is worded, whether it's limited to just the budget or other items as well. So we'll find out when that call comes out. There are a few bills that passed. A couple of them aren't even available yet as far as the final version as it passed out of the full chamber, because at the end of session, the bill drafting people are crazy busy, as you can imagine. So those will kind of trickle out. So I'm not sure, what all the final language on all these are, but there was a Live Local bill that passed that once again, expands the reach of Live Local. And once again, for the third year in a row, it passed nearly unanimously in both chambers. So once again, whatever controversy they have up there, whether it be, part bipartisan or whatever else, one thing they do agree on is live local is a good thing and they want to keep expanding it. So, there's also a utility bill that passed, and it mostly deals with utilities outside of the city. So I've already emailed the city manager about that, about making sure we implement that. It does cap the rates, but I think we're already under that cap. So that's not going to be a concern to us, but we are going to have to do an annual report now. So another unfunded mandate has come down. And there was an e-bikes bill that passed. So we're going to look out for the governor's signatures on all those bills and see if they're signed or vetoed. And once he acts on the e-bikes bill, we'll be bringing an ordinance to you. We have already sat down with the chief and city manager and I to discuss what that ordinance will look like. And it's starting to take shape, but until the governor signs or vetoes the bill, we can't bring it to you. And yeah, I think that those are the main notable things. So again, the league's full report hasn't come out yet. When it does, we'll have a bigger report as we do every year. Thank you.
Mr. Frampus.
So for the e-bike legislation, I'm guessing you kind of know what it says, right? Are we still going to create an ordinance, and ours can be more restrictive, or less? How we can be more restrictive, not less restrictive than the bill, correct? Is that or somewhere?
Yeah. So that's one of the things I'm gonna have to look at and analyze, because in general, the state statutes do allow us to have more strict ordinances for e-bikes, at least as it pertains to our streets and our roads, or excuse me, our sidewalks, I should say. The streets and the roads are preempted to the state. So as long as we're talking about the sidewalks, then yes, we can have more restrictive.
Even though they would be our streets, like our local streets?
Well,
yeah, so the Uniform Traffic Code regulates streets across the state, whether they're owned by the state, the city, the county, or whoever. And this is part of the broad overall scheme that they have for traffic control, because the legislature wants to make sure that there aren't 1,000 different standards for driving in the state. You should be able to drive from one city to another and know what the rules of the road are. So that's the theory behind the preemption. And for roads, I think that's one of the preemptions that probably makes the most sense that we have, honestly, because I think it would be a nightmare if every city and county could develop their own road standards, and you could be perfectly legal in one town and then break the law going to the next town without even knowing it, because you can't keep up with that. So yeah, streets and the driveways essentially are preempted to the state for that reason.
Can we get money from them to pay for our roads?
Why are you looking at me?
Okay, any more comments? We are adjourned. Thank you.